If you're new to the channel, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe and leave a comment down below. And also check out our partners, Nerds in the Hood, down in the description. And I hope to see you later on. Peace out. Welcome to another Alternative Factuals video, you guys. And today's going to be a very special video. I got my boy Ernie. Now, for those of you who may not know, he runs his own channel called Blerd Without Fear. And I want y'all to know, like, this is like a legit, this is one of the legit channels. So yeah, I know I don't promote anybody. So I guess without doing too much beating around the bush, we're gonna kind of get into a little bit of the basics for Spawn and a little bit about his characters and some of his the comics kind of concepts, because not just the character itself, but there was a lot of reason why they chose to publish this character like Spawn, and then the reason why his comics were written really interestingly, and that has to do with more or less just the way it's presented, how like it shows the worst of humanity. But I'll get into that a little later, and I'll let you kind of establish the basis of who Al Simmons is and the whole concept of Spawn itself. But a lot of people usually wanted to know, even like I said, I was chatting with some people on Facebook, because that's what I do. People, us millennials, we're very big on social media. But a lot of people were just talking about, like, okay, yeah, the character of Spawn is cool, and he got the powers. He kind of has the chains like Ghost Rider, very similar power set, whatever. And even in which the creation of his character is kind of sort of similar in a sense where he wanted to see his wife, and let's say Johnny Blaze wanted to see his father, whatever, similar concept, whatever. Now what made this comic so interesting overall is it was talking about abstract concepts like heaven and hell represented the aspect of good and evil, where even in a lot of his stories it seemed like he was always forced to kind of make these choices between either I can be this anti-hero and do the right thing, or I can just respect this contract and lead Hell's army and do what I have to do as a Hellspawn. He was always put into these like tight choices, and for example, Cagliostro, for example, was one of the guys who actually helped him control his abilities. And a lot of people didn't know that the clown, the Violator, was actually supposed to represent, like I said, the evil aspect of Spawn's personality, and Cagliostro being the choice of being good. And there was always in a constant pull where even in some panels, and they made it seem like as if like, okay, either I can, like I said, listen to Cagliostro and do the right thing, use his power for, what I want to use it for, and that's kind of to redeem myself for all this stuff I've did while I was alive. While you have the clown who's literally trying to manipulate him in every way possible. And a lot of people did not really understand this about Spawn. They just thought like, okay, yeah, these two are two characters which help him kind of progress as a person, which it kind of does, but it's still like there's a bigger picture behind the whole character of Spawn, and the reason why heaven and hell specifically were picked. And even Malbolgia was actually in these he was being manipulated to some degree, and he wasn't really the top dog. Like that gets later on in the story where things get really crazy, but I'm not going to get into that one. Like that's a little
Well, no, I was even gonna say, like, that's one of the reasons why I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some stuff that changes. Like, when you get deep into the Spawn comics, you learn so much is not what they originally told you it was. There are some characters who are not as they originally advertised themselves, and that's all I will say. But because I remember when I forget what issue it was. It may have been kind of around, I think maybe issue number 75, 80, something like that. But there was a turn that they made, and I was like, what? Who? But yeah, it's now here's the other weird thing. So when Spawn first started out, his powers were finite.
Definitely, right.
Like he couldn't, like he had access to the power, but he wasn't trained in how to use the power. And one of the things Cagliostro tried to help him with is train him in how to use the power effectively and make it his own, and I guess kind of get out from under the shackles of Malbolgia. But also try and teach him that the power could be used up, because they used to have that little ticker that would pop up ever so often in the Spawn comics. And I think when you first started, I was like 9999. So that's for the Final Fantasy fans out there. But it's really cool though, because the more like he kind of relies on like his old instincts, like he's going for the guns, the military weaponry, because let's go ahead and just face facts. Al Simmons is a trained one of those deep cover black ops government assassins that just you only hear about in movies that usually star Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jason Statham or Sylvester Stallone or somebody like that. He's one of those guys. He's the quintessential 90s action movie government agent, or ex-military government agent is basically what he is. But yeah, that's one of the really cool things about Spawn is he didn't have conventional villains. His villains, like you think, oh, this guy's got the power of hell behind him, right? Who are we going to put him up against? We're going to put him up against. I mean, yeah. He's fighting against Malbolgia. Yeah. He's fighting against Viler. Yeah. That's fine too. He's fighting, the angels and and heaven and earth, all this other stuff. That's cool too. But you more often found him fighting dudes that were just on the street, like Tony Twist, a freaking mob boss, or Billy Kincaid, a child murderer. A pedophile, even, I would dare say. I mean, it was insane. Just the level of stuff that he was up against. It wouldn't fit in most narratives, but somehow they made it work for Spawn.
Now, this is where also I would say some more questions kind of come in. Now, how are they going to fit like concepts like even though he does, like you said, have the power of hell behind him, quite literally, he was relatively a street level hero, so to speak. And how are they? Right, definitely, literally. So he was living with like homeless people who were afraid of him because they were just like, oh my god, this. First of all, he looks crazy. Like you said, he looks like some chopped up beef. Now, he looks like a New York chopped cheese with barbecue sauce, mayonnaise, ketchup. But right, that's what his face was looking like. So, he definitely was homeless. So I'm like, how are they gonna do this in the movie where, Jamie Foxx is coming in, and like I said, he's not a bad actor. Don't get me wrong. I think he's definitely a solid actor. Give him the role, and you give him enough time to prep, he can definitely execute the role, and he can murder it in a good way. But I guess my biggest concern is how is some of this going to translate onto the screen? Because like you said, and also like I said, some concepts are a little more abstract where they're not always what they seem. And I want to know how they're going to approach it because the original Spawn movie that came out, what was that, in 1992?
Oh man, 92. Oh no, actually no, 97. It was 97. Man, ooh, just gave me a flashback. I stand by it today that the best thing about that movie was the soundtrack. I stand by it. And this may be, like I said, contrary to popular belief. Well, in my case, I actually thought Michael J. White did a decent job. Like to be completely honest, some people always the movie wasn't that great. Like for its time, he did a decent job. Like it wasn't bad. But yeah, he did as much as he could with what he was given. He could not have done any more had he tried.
Honestly, I would have loved to see a part 2, but that's a little side rant. I don't know. I just wanted to see what they would have did, but I feel like that would have got too far out of control because they would have been leading into some other aspects of the comics that are, like I said, less favorable in my opinion. But anyways.
Right. Well, it just... I would be the first one to say that when you go back and look at things in hindsight, it's like, yeah, I mean, what? Okay, at that particular point in time, most comic book movies were bad in some degree or another. Like they weren't all great. We didn't hit the golden age until just recently. So I mean, this was we really were just kind of we were building up to it. We were building up to it. And I think that what they're trying to do with this new film, because from what I hear, they're trying to push for more of a what's the word am I looking for? More of like a horror movie, right? Kind of a atmosphere. where Spawn is hardly seen. He's because let's be fair, the 1997 Spawn movie, more of an action movie, not any real horror elements to it, other than maybe when the Violator shows up, the clown turns into the Violator. But I want to say that you could probably maybe see this new movie with Jamie Foxx and Jeremy Renner. I think they're probably going to take more nods from the Spawn HBO cartoon, because that is more in line with the vision that Todd McFarlane kind of had and has had for a long time. Because I think I remember seeing something in an interview. He said that even back then, when they were going to make a Spawn sequel that, ultimately never happened, that Spawn would not talk very often or even be seen very often. That it would be the people around him that got more. Like Spawn was supposed to be like a force of nature who just kind of appeared, and like you'd see the cape and the chains and the green eyes, but for the most part he would be shrouded in darkness. So I think that is the HBO cartoon, like down like I said, to the
for
letter.
all of you who didn't see the cartoon, it was extremely well written. And like you said, a lot of it was almost like from a third person experience, where a lot of people told the story of Spawn for you through their eyes. And also a lot of it was him narrating his own life in his head, because remember, for a good chunk of this, he's trying to get his memories back, and he gets flashes every once in a while, and eventually he runs into his wife, and that's when he figures out what's going on. Even runs into Jason Wynn, the Redeemer, and all that stuff. That's just like eventually he pieces all of this stuff together. So that's for all of you who didn't see the series, but it's something that
yeah. Also, Spawn masterfully played by Keith David. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. Put some respect on Keith David's name for that role. Not that he needs it. I mean, the guy's a phenomenal actor, both in front of the camera and in the vocal booth. But
the voice of God, the voice of God has spoken.
So good. Yes. I love it. So let me ask you this: as far as what they could use, because I think it's safe to say the Spawn live action movie from '97, it was a loose adaptation of the comics. Some things had to be changed for legal reasons. But how much do you think they would adapt of Spawn? Like how much of that early? Because I almost kind of feel like McFarlane's trying to go back to the glory days, the early days of Spawn, and recapture that magic. How much do you think they'll
for
bring
the most
in?
part, I think they'll stick to for the most part, the original origin. I think they'll stick to that. Almost wholeheartedly, barely any differences, probably minor changes. Like, for example, the memory loss, I feel like obviously it's a movie, so it will come a little faster. Or maybe he might even come in with his memories. It's really hard to say at this juncture because we literally don't know anything about the film at all. But I don't think it's going to change too much. Like I said, it's just the timing in which they're going to introduce certain things. I feel like it's going to be a lot different.
Well, and I would even throw out another thing that I think they're going to take in. I think what you're going to do, I think if you want to do this successfully, leave out all the heaven stuff. Leave heaven for God willing, later movies. Yeah, pun intended. But focus purely on the hell aspect of it, and don't go soft on me with the hell stuff. Don't pull what's the movie? Doom, the Doom video game adaptation. They went soft on the hell aspect of that game. Like, oh no, it's a virus and it's from the planet Mars. It's not from hell. No, don't do that. Embrace the origin, make it exactly what it is. Bring in Malbolgia. Let us see a little bit more of Malbolgia, because you didn't really see him very much in the movie. You saw him for maybe a few seconds.
But honestly,
you saw Malbolgia.
I think they should mention heaven, but like you said, I don't know. They shouldn't do it heavily. It should be one of those things where it's just like, oh yeah, you are a hellspawn, and then in this war between heaven and hell, and you only hear it maybe once or twice, just enough to get people okay, what's really going on with this character, and who is Malbolgia? You see him once, just literally leave it at one time, and leave it for maybe about a couple seconds, like you said, but it leaves enough information for people to want to look out there and see what's going on with his character, and they'll want to read up about him.
Right. Well, because the live action movie, And the live action movie didn't make this mistake, though I do feel like they teased. They did like kind of a tease that I felt lingered a little too long. If you go back and watch the 97 movie, they do the tease with Angela. Like, yeah, I think like it's the iconic scene of the 97 movie. He comes like crashing through the skylight, and the cape is flowing around him. He's got the guns and the chains, and he lands, and then because of budgetary constraints, the cape is CG and just absorbs into him, and he basically just becomes Venom. But whatever. It's like way to back down those Venom comparisons. You even made the suit symbiotic. Great. Now it's even more Venom. Great. But no, don't. I would even say don't even tease Angela. Like, I say save everything for when it is actually a proper chance to unveil that character. I don't want to hear anything about, I don't even want to hear her name. I don't want to hear about the organization, the kind of, I guess what the I forget what they called it, but it was I guess kind of like an organization that was like a front for the angels,
right,
hunting the hell spawns. And don't even bring that up. You can mention the war against heaven and hell, between them, but I would say leave all the other stuff out of it. Like you gotta save some for the next incarnation of the movie. Focus, like, I would almost rather it be like it comes down to the clown. Like, let it, like, tell them more of a, like, since it's a horror movie, you gotta focus on what would probably be the scariest aspect of the movie, which would be both Spawn and the clown, and ultimately the clown turning into the Violator. That's what, me personally, that's what I would like to see. I would love to see it just all come down to Spawn versus the Violator for all the marbles. And leave that bad boy on a cliffhanger. Let it because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Spawn wins that fight. Or I think it gets broken up before they can really do anything with it. But I mean, let there be a little bit more of a definitive, maybe a little bit more of a definitive winner. Or you could even focus more on Billy Kincaid, because Billy Kincaid was easily. You could make it like a Seven style movie with Billy Kincaid. That would even work, to a degree.
I guess let us know what you think about the Spawn movie, and what do you think? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please drop a like. And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe. Leave a comment down below. And I hope to see you later on. Peace out.